When you pull up to the farm, you see that Stuart Baker not only has a soft spot in his heart for people in his life, but for his four-legged friends as well.
We're here at Enchantment Pasafinas in Ocala, Florida, which is my residence, which is kind of known as a gentleman's farm. We raise Pasafina show horses. It basically entails his training and mainly taking care of these horses and the farm. Everything from repairing fences to feeding the horses on a daily basis and grooming, trimming horses, shoeing horses. So it's pretty much a full-time, very extensive work and very back-breaking, no pun intended. We also manufacture equipment. We're in the manufacturing of what's known as colon hydrotherapy equipment for gastroenterology for preparation for colonoscopies. So I'm also a process engineer for those products, and I'm the Vice President of Operations for Clearwater Colon Hydrotherapy.
As with millions of people, Stuart dealt with lower back pain that had only occasionally bothered him, but in 2014, it quickly began to intensify and traveled down his legs.
Most of my life, I've had generally back pain since I was 18 years old, but it's basically been associated with a muscle strain and overworking between the farm and general work at the office. But in 2014, the pain started increasing at an alarming rate, and in 2015, it just became almost unbearable, where I actually went to a major clinic in the country and they did facet injections with the corticosteroid. That proved to be fruitless. That pain in the last 8 months had migrated so bad, it actually got me into a crippling effect. I was using a walker to get around all my farm activities. We used to ride horses, I have motorcycles, and all that ceased. It was basically just hard enough to get to work. So I'd seeked all types of help. In April that year, I had seeked out, neurosurgery, and they had done the MRIs and the bone scans and realized, and the only thing that they could offer was spinal back fusion.
Though he had been told a fusion was the answer to his pain, something in Stuart told him not to go through with it, and he decided to do more research.
After I'd spoke to the doctor at the major clinic I was speaking about, I definitely decided to not go to that route. We had actually contacted back over to the pain management clinic who had done the facet injections and set up an appointment for May 9th to do the thermal facet ablation. And it just bothered me so much that we were doing a temporary fix and I'd have to keep repeating this at least every 12 months. I just did not want to go that route. I was literally just at the point I couldn't stand the pain, the sugar levels were off, the stress factor was way up. When my wife was having her hair done on Main Street in Safety Harbor, I went out on the bench and I took my cell phone and I Googled back spinal fusion. And all of a sudden it came up and says, stop, don't do spinal fusion. And then here's the Bonati Institute ad, and here was on my phone, there was an application to fill out. I literally immediately filled out that application and I got a call from one of their patient advocates. I set up an appointment at the Bonati Institute for May 9th of this year, which turned out to be the best appointment I ever had. I went to that appointment and it was one of the most intense screenings, evaluations. When Dr. Jones came in, he in detail spent 45 minutes explaining what was wrong with my back.
After his extensive consultation with the Institute's surgeons and staff, Stuart began his surgical summary with Dr. Jones in June 2017. He walked us through procedure day at the Bonati Spine Institute Surgical Center.
At 7 a.m. I walked in and they handed me the gowns and the caps and everything and explained where I was going to be doing. So I entered into the room, and of course we met with Dr. Jones, the anesthesiologist, Dr. Campanoli, and other nurses, and they basically told me how the procedure was going to go that day. During the procedure, I was awakened multiple times. There's a monitor when you're laying down that you can actually see what you're doing, and Dr. Jones would literally ask me questions, have me raise the leg. I actually wish I could stay awake longer and actually watch the procedure. It was amazing that you're sitting there looking at your own nerve in your own back which is something most people never will ever see a nerve, but to see your own and being operated on, I think personally it was very interesting since I'm in the medical field.
Unlike traditional open back surgery, where recovery can take months to years, Stuart began feeling relief just hours after his first procedure.
What I thought was very interesting during this procedure is they go very slow. They do one vertebrae at a time. So where I have to have a total of 6 procedures, have done 3. The first one basically alleviated 80% of the pain. I was up and walking around the Bonati Institute for 40 minutes, 4 hours. After my surgery at 7 o'clock at night, I was literally in Slovakia's restaurant in Tarpon Springs eating dinner, and we've known the people there for 35 years. People turned around their tables and I was passing out cards for the Bonati Institute. They couldn't believe I was there only 7 hours after surgery. It was such a great release. The second procedure then removed 15% more of that pain, and then the last procedure on the right side has now removed, we're up to 100% of all the pain's gone.
Making the decision to undergo the Bonati spine procedures was easy for Stuart when he learned Dr. Bonati holds 7 patents for methods and medical tools utilized exclusively at the Institute. And now Stuart is getting back to life on the farm and on the road.
I think what's the most debilitating thing that can be, as well as having the physical condition, is the emotional and psychological part of being so much physical pain that you lose the ability to do your daily routines. Knowing I couldn't do the things on the farm, as I said before, we go to Sturgis usually every year. I love motorcycles, I love the horses and the shows. So to see that fade away and not do that at 63 years old is not, in these days and time, really that old. So you want to try to regain that. And be honest with you, to where I feel now, to where I felt May 17th of this year, just less than a month ago, is just absolutely phenomenal. I never in my life ever feel that I would regain back to not only better, but probably the best I've ever felt. Now I'm gonna be able to do the things again that I did back when I was in my 40s, and the emotional relief and the psychological relief of having that back is pretty amazing. To get that release of that pain was just, it was what I now call the Bonati miracle. And it seems that everybody has somebody that has some type of spinal problem. And if we look at the statistics in the country, it's 35 million people who suffer from back pain or problems that could probably be corrected from the Bonati Institute.